Texas A&M and Mike Elko were one win away from getting the chance to play in the SEC championship game in 60 minutes from the college football playoff. Well, their season ended with a very tough loss at home to Texas, and Arch Manning scrambling for that touchdown, the huge win for Texas. A very tight game that didn't at all times feel all that close because of the fact of the limited production from an offense. So Texas A&M looks to improve off of a decent year in 2024 and firmly establish themselves as a college football playoff contender. Easier said to do than many because you have a very talented coach in Mike Elko and a great quarterback in Marcel. As SEC schedules go, it could be a lot worse. We know that Texas A&M has the transfer KC Concepcion from the NC State Wolfpack. They brought over him to add that element of explosive play down the field. This kid was a freshman All-American. They still have Le'Veon Moss, this senior running back, an absolute stud to carry the ball, to tote it for them down the field and in the red zone. So let's do it. What will A&M, what will the Aggies be in 2025? The preview and prediction. Well, it starts with UTSA and Utah State. Believe that it will be two big wins, one after the other, beating UTSA 48-13 and Utah State 52-18. Get them off and rolling. 2-0 on the season before they are on the road at South Bend, Indiana to take on not the Riley Leonard-led Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but the Jeremiah Love and CJ Carr-led Notre Dame team. Also another name, Jadarian Price, that Notre Dame backfield, them or Penn State with Katron Allen, Nick Singleton have the best duo of backs in college football. They're at Notre Dame. I see A&M losing this game 27-20. Similar to last year, believe that it's going to be tough to move the football on the Fighting Irish, especially on the road. That environment, that setting, there's going to be 77,000 screaming Irish fans getting loud, getting crazy. A&M is no stranger to playing in tough environments, but Marcel Reed trying to go to someone besides Concepcion is going to prove difficult to do because they just might have the best cornerback in college football in the form of true sophomore corner Leonard Moore for Notre Dame. That is a very tough matchup, and have them losing. Obviously, still a lot of football to play with. Can they go to Terry Bussey? Is Mario Craver going to get open for them? Ashton Bethel Roman, where can they go besides Kevin? He's immediately my expectation to be their number one threat. Where else will there be options to go to the football with? In week 5, after the bye week, they've got Auburn at home. Now, we know what A&M's defense was a year ago with Shemar Turner in the middle of that thing, anchoring things down. The ferocious guy that got drafted by the Chicago Bears there in this second. He was very good. He could play at any position on the D-line, really, from one technique, zero, head up on the center to the outside at a true defensive end position. They had Nick Scourton, just a tremendous edge talent. This kid was phenomenal last year, a real game wrecker. He really helped that defensive line. Who's going to step on that defensive line to beat a team like Auburn, led by the transfer from Oklahoma now, Jackson Arnold? They need to get pressure on him because he's dynamic. He's a dual threat athlete. He can get outside the pocket and make you hurt real bad, because Eric Singleton, also another transfer, he comes over for Georgia Tech for that Auburn team that now has a bit more confidence in their downfield passing game. Have Tech beating Auburn at College Station to improve their record to 3-1 on the year off of the bye against Auburn 24-17. The following week, Mississippi State, probably the worst team in the SEC once again. It's just tough for them to compete with this level of talent, especially in a road environment at A&M at Kyle Field. At this point in the year, they're 4-1 before they host Florida. Now, that second tier of the SEC, it looks to be LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, of course A&M being a game away. That is the definition of being a second-tier team and being right on the doorstep of elevating yourself to be playing for an SEC champ game against Georgia. And we never know what could have happened in that matchup. Who knows, they could have won and been in the CFP. But anyway, all of those teams, Oklahoma with John Mateer now, Florida with DJ Lagway, they comprise 2 spots availability. 3 teams made it last year. We can expect 4 or 5 SEC teams to make it next year. This isn't the expanded 16-team playoff, and we might be getting 7 or 8 any given year. There will only be 1 or 2 teams from that second tier, and so beating a team like Florida is huge to put yourself in position to maybe grab one of those 4th or 5th spots. Florida, that's a win, 31-28. On the defensive side, all I see is Caleb Banks and a whole bunch of guys that continue to need to prove themselves on that Billy Napier defense. Florida is ready. They do have good players, but like Marcel Reed to take over in a phenomenal matchup against DJ Lagway. At that point in the year, A&M is 5-1. Are they taking Arkansas lightly before they are looking ahead at LSU and possibly Heisman frontrunner Garrett Nussmeier? You don't want to say that they do, but I think they might have them losing 20-17 against Taylor Reed and that Arkansas Razorback squad before they lose also at LSU at Death Valley. LSU presents a number of problems for so many reasons. One, because of the outside talent. Of course, Nick Anderson defensively, they bring back Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. You know that name if you're an SEC football fan, of course, and how talented he is. Is he going to be the same explosive player he has? That is the expectation. But LSU in that downfield passing game with Garrett Nussmeier is the largest threat. Like last year, you had the talent up front to be able to limit an LSU run game, make Garrett Nussmeier throw the ball 45 times. This year, can LSU run the ball? I think they can. After 5-1 and beating Florida, all of a sudden, this season has taken a different shift, a different tone. 5-3 on the year before the bye week to the end. 9-3 could get you in this year into the college football playoff. I'm confident that a team that's 9-3 times 2 will make it. There'll be 2 9-3 teams compared to last year because of the weakness of the Big 12. Because the Big 10, a Big 10's 10-2 is probably at the same level of what a 9-3 SEC is, in that there's going to be a lot more losses coming out of the Big 12, and there's only really 2 or 3 teams from the ACC that are legitimate threats to make it. That leaves opportunity for only squads that have 3 losses. Everybody in the SEC could have 2, 3, 4 losses at the top of this thing, and all that gets sorted out. But at Missouri, have them getting back in the win column to 6-3 on the season, beating Mizzou. It's just very tough when you lose your seasoned veteran quarterback and Brady Cook. Of course, Luther Burden, who goes to team back here in Chicago. Such a great, the All-American wide receiver threat in Luther. The next week, they have South Carolina at home. Whole stadium is pumping. College Station is on fire. Lenora Sellers very easily could have himself in the Heisman spotlight. One of the best defensive players in the country is on South Carolina, but they don't have TJ Sanders. They don't have the SEC Defensive Player of the Year last year in Kyle Kennard. Emin Wari is no longer on that squad. There's an opportunity for them to beat South Carolina. I think they do it 26-21. Of course, the gimme at the end of the schedule there with Samford before the last game of the season at Texas. Now, I've got Texas as the best team in college football next year. I understand putting that ahead. An 8-3 A&M team taking on Texas on the road. Last year you had it at home, so I'm saying, why would you win this year on the road when last year you had him at home? Not just is it Arch Manning, a talented thrower of the football, way more athletic than his uncles Eli and Peyton, but that run game. CJ Baxter is back, and Quintavion Wisner, who had very good production behind the very good running back Jaden Blue last year. That's a running game along with Arch Manning and his legs that'll be very productive, as evidenced by that scrambling touchdown against A&M in the last game of the year. They'll win and take all, get to the SEC matchup. That's tough to stop. Not even to say that Texas team, you guys know them very well if you're an A&M fan. You know about Colin Simmons, the freshman, Sean Alexander, Player of the Year in Colin Simmons. You know all about Anthony Hill Jr., who could be a top 7 draft pick in 2026. Malik Muhammad's back. Michael Taft came back. That Texas team is just at the peak, the pinnacle of the sport currently in the sense of their roster. I don't know if you can have a better roster currently, especially after you're a team like Georgia that lost a bunch of talent to the NFL. The Buckeyes lost a talent to the NFL. Oregon did, so it evens the playing field, but Texas is amongst the best in our sport. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is A&M an 8-4 team? A&M fans will absolutely hate it. They don't want to be it. Every year they're not in the college football playoff under Mike Elko. They will riot. They will be upset. It doesn't happen. Last year was disappointing. It's like, would you take losing this game to Texas and your season's over? Like, of course not. What the heck are you talking about? We want to beat them. We got them at home. Feel like we can win this game, and it's set up that way that, like, you would take giving up 17 points to Texas every single game of the week. Holy cow. But besides that point, if I said information that you're like, wait, some of these players that you're mentioning, they might not be on the field, it's because I'm recording this a couple weeks before you're watching it. I scheduled this post because when you're watching it, I'm in Tanzania checking out the Great Migration in Africa before the start of the season, when I'm going to be going, 7 days a week for 5 months. College NFL content coming out every single day, live streaming 6 days a week. We are so excited to get all that to you. So that's why, if I was mentioning guys, I'm just not aware of that information as of right now of the recording of this. But let me know in the comments what you thought of this, what you think of A&M, what you think of the SEC, of college football, NFL, anything you want to put out there. Let me know how to get content to be better, more catered towards you and what you want to see. And of course, please subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in to Blitz with Blender, and I will see you next time.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blender.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.